a bit of a heads up, some horses and some humans get hurt in this video. So if that isn't for you, fair enough. But with that out the way, this video is all about the chaos of the Palio di Siena with a bit of street photography sprinkled on top. I'll get into a bit of the history of the race and also why I think it is one of the best events that you should go to if you are a street photographer. Palio di Siena is a race that's been going on for almost 400 years. It's held in a UNESCO heritage listed city in Siena, and how I got onto it, a friend of mine who's really into his history and who has dragged his wife around bits of Europe looking for Neolithic dirt mounds. He'd heard about this. He told us we should come with them. We had no idea what we were getting ourselves into, and it turns out neither did they at all. So Siena's a tiny city. Its population is only about 50,000 people. It's about 118 square kilometers, which is about 46 square miles. So really small place. And one thing about Italian people, as my Mediterranean wife can attest to, is that they do love to have a chat. And so people are just constantly out and about, bumping into each other, having very animated chats in the street. And then you've got this historic race that's held twice a year, which again adds an extra element of energy to the streets too. So for the race, the city is split into 17 contrada. Of the 17, 10 of them race. They're really serious about the customs and everything. So there is constant festivities in the lead up to the event itself. So there's parties, there's singing, there's marches, parades. Whole streets are turned into outdoor dining for the entire contrada to sit down and eat together as one. So just like a million little chairs and tables set up all along these beautiful historic streets. Everyone comes, sits down and eats together. The race itself is ridden bareback, so no stirrups, no saddle, just like holding onto the reins for dear life. They put down some like clay sort of stuff over the town centre, so that's where it's held, in the Piazza del Campo, and it does a little bit, but I don't think it does too much in terms of adding traction for the horses. And there's 4 really sharp turns, so it's a town square, so you've got basically 4 90-degree corners that these horses have to navigate. One of them in particular is the sharpest and then goes to an immediate sort of descent, and that is the one that they cover in padding because inevitably, I imagine every single race there's going to be horses and people flying into it. There definitely was in this race. It becomes quite chaotic quite quickly, and you don't really know where to look, and you don't know what's going on, or at least we didn't know what was going on, and it becomes quite overwhelming. Now, before I get into the footage of the race itself, speaking to a few locals after the event, turns out this was one of the best races that has happened in years. So this isn't, I think, typical of what an average race is. This was especially chaotic. So just bear that in mind with everything I tell you as well. For us, it was an absolute roller coaster of emotions. We didn't know what to expect, and immediately you're just excited, you're tense, you're terrified, you're sad, you're happy. It's full on. You don't know what's going on. You don't know where to look. And it's only about 90 seconds. I won't be getting into the morality and ethics around horse racing. There's obviously a lot of discourse about that over there in all of the articles and everything that I was searching after the race because I wanted to find out what happened to these horses. There are key anti-animal cruelty bodies that protest these sorts of things as well. That being said, obviously this is a huge event for a really small regional town, and they do take injuries of the horses and the people very seriously. So there is a pension fund for the horses so that after any injuries occur, they do get looked after, and it's not just, take them out the back and bullet through the head sort of thing, which I thought is what would happen. But looking after the race, there were images of the horses that were both injured, patched up, and I don't know how to follow up on that, but I imagine that they are being looked after, because if not, then yeah. So on the day, there's multiple ambulances for people. There's multiple horse ambulances, like these big kitted out horse floats, and the vet itself is only 9 minutes down the road. So they do get immediate treatment after the race, but we didn't know any of that, so during the race, it was absolutely full on. We went into this blind. I had no idea about any of the things I've just told you. When I watch a movie, I don't watch the trailer beforehand. I like to go on the journey, and I definitely went on a journey for this one. So the day starts, and the whole Piazza del Campo is completely baking in sun. It was incredibly hot while we were there. This was July, August of 2023, and it was a really hot summer. So everywhere we went through Europe, it was like heat waves, there was bushfires, there was all sorts of things. So it was incredibly hot. spot. So people arrive into the center of the square early to try and get a spot, and you can line up all around the barricade. All of the entrance to the center of the race is all free. We paid and split between all of us so we could get our own window, which ended up having an absolutely amazing vantage point of the entire race. And we then had access to some nibbles, some drinks, and a bathroom, which you just don't get in the middle. In the middle, you're on your own, and after a certain part of the proceedings, they just close it off and you're locked in. No one in or out. There's no toilets in there. There's a few people selling like water out of an esky. They drain this little fountain in there and set that up as a medical unit, and we saw a bunch of people with heat stroke getting brought in there on stretchers. It's Lord of the Flies type stuff in the pit. So the sun's initially just baking the entire place. Eventually, the shadows from the buildings start adding these patches of shade for people, and they start getting filled up first. And then by the time the race starts, the whole center is shaded, which makes it a bit more bearable for the people in there. But you'd have to toe this fine line of, you know, whether you're going to die of dehydration or piss your pants in front of 30,000 people. Begin the race itself. All the horses have to line up behind this like historic rope that gets then dropped. And again, there's no saddles. I think they all have to go in a certain order, and they're all bashing into each other, spinning around, whipping. There's a few false starts. It took over half an hour to get started. Even that alone was like, your nerves are already a bit frayed before the race even begins. And this is sort of where we started realizing what we'd gotten ourselves into and sort of what was about to happen. And then the race begins. And immediately on that first sharp turn, a horse goes down. Then you don't know where to look from there, because like it's a small course and the horses are going fast and things are breaking up. So, you know, a horse goes down over here. Someone gets thrown off their horse over there. Then you're looking back at that sharp corner as another horse goes down. And then the first injured horse is hobbling past you with its ankle just spinning around and a trail of blood going past it. So when I saw that, I immediately just said, that horse is dead. I thought for sure they'd have to put it down. Then again, another horse has just gone down, another person gets thrown, then that corner is getting hit by people, and then there's the second injured horse running past. These like poor, scared, injured animals while there's all this craziness going on around them. And then I didn't know anything. So the second injured horse runs past and I'm just like, that one's dead too. Like that's two dead horses for the sake of this, which was just full on to experience. And then the race finishes. It doesn't matter if there's a person on the winning horse. If your horse passes the finish line first, your contrada wins. And then before the race is even finished, everyone is jumping the barriers onto the race course, trying to touch the winning horse. And you can see this guy tries to touch the winning horse, doesn't touch it, and then gets cleaned up by another horse right behind him. It's just absolute pandemonium. So that was the race. And I'm going to sort of intersperse this with photos that I took throughout the time there. It was more sort of a trip with friends. I wasn't shooting as much as I would typically, but I still got some photos that I really like, and there's so much potential there if you really wanted to go and focus on it. But yeah, then the race is over and you see how much this means to the people. There's every age demographic, from little kids, grandparents, everything in between, all hugging, crying, screaming, jubilant, just so happy, and just all together as a community experiencing something, which, if you think about it, traditions get lost all the time, and these sorts of things where community doesn't really exist in a lot of places, people are lonelier than ever. It just seems like a really beautiful, chaotic, incredible thing that still exists. A medieval event in modern times that you can go and experience. It's something that I think people should at least know about, have a conversation about, and maybe go. Would I do it again, knowing what I know now and having already experienced it? Probably not. Would I tell someone who knows all of this and hasn't experienced it for themselves to go? Yeah, I would. I did think about, am I contributing to animal cruelty by telling people to go? And I don't think I am, because it's existed for almost 400 years now. I don't think tourism was even a thing 100 years ago. It's the locals that have kept this tradition alive, and they've done it for almost 400 years. I think they're going to do it for hundreds more. A few extra photographers going and checking it out isn't going to change a thing. So do what you like, but also please subscribe.